And we are back with the second episode of this rookie walkthrough that we have going on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at our team top prospects. If you just click this manager home button right there, it'll take you to this page right here, and you can actually customize it to whatever you want. And it's pretty good system to definitely learn and customize. It'll help you out a lot and let you see some cool stats and rankings and whatnot. So anyways, we're looking at our top prospects here, and we can see that the very first one, we're actually going to go to the team homepage and look at these. And you can see here, this guy's pretty much maxed out, ready to play. Give him some more time in AAA, even though he did really well last year. And we got this pitcher, Michael Felice, and he's actually pretty decent and did not have a good go-around in 8 innings in the majors last year, but whatever. And we've got shortstop, not bad at all, and he is a very good leader, very well respected in the clubhouse, and you can see he's got very high leader, low greed, and very high work ethic, which means he's definitely a keeper. He'll be a good player for years to come. And Francis Martez, we got pretty decent pitcher here. Pitchers with low control bother me because what I look for in a pitcher is the strikeouts per 9 and then home runs per 9 as well as walks per 9. But I want them to have the strikeouts per 9 to be pretty high, and I want their walks to be pretty low. And you can use a sabermetrics guide to look at what is high and what is low for strikeouts per 9 and walks per 9. I'm actually going to look up some pictures and take some screenshots, and I'll show them in the next video, but I don't have that prepared now. I didn't think about it until just now, but for quick reference, 4.3 walks per 9 is actually too much. It's a lot. 9.8 strikeouts per 9 is pretty good. That's really good. 1.2 home runs per 9 is, I would say, average, but more towards the lower end of average. It's closer to below average than I would like. So that is not something, which makes sense because he's only got 50 movement, so it's not like he's given up a ridiculous amount of home runs. He just hasn't pitched very many innings in Double-A last season, and we'll see how he does this season. So the team's got some pretty good players to build upon here. And then A.J. Reed at first base, big power hitter, big lefty power hitter. And something to note is that contact is not directly correlated to batting average. It's actually the direct relation to how often they make contact with the ball. And there's 2 ratings. There's actually 3 ratings. Power is actually a rating that factors into contact, which is, I guess, not really too odd. I mean, the higher their contact, the higher their batting average will be, because that means the more balls that they're going to put in play. So there's 2 stats that factor into it mainly, and then power is also a factor as well, but it would be avoid Ks and batting average for balls in play. Now, the batting average for balls in play is not displayed, but when you factor in with avoid Ks, then it's going to be your contact rating. So it's essentially 2 ratings that equal 1. And without being too complex and complicated onto the subject, I just wanted to skim over it. Basically, if he's got low avoid Ks, his contact probably isn't going to be much better. So this guy is a power hitter, and his contact is only 45. So he's going to have a low batting average, and when he does make contact with the ball, it'll likely be gone for a home run. So he might hit a lot of home runs with 70 home run power, but he might not actually hit that many because his contact's only 45, so he's not really making contact with the ball to hit those home runs. So he might still be a 30 home run per year guy, but you might find guys with like 60 contact and 70 home run power to hit more home runs than this guy because they're hitting the ball more, if that makes sense. So this guy may not have the opportunity to play if his contact only goes up to 40 instead of 45, he'll most likely never play for me on the Major League squad because his home runs will likely never it'll never be worth it because he'll be batting like 200, 210, and he might hit like 25 home runs because he's just never hitting the ball. So that's something to pay attention to. Just because they have low contact doesn't mean, oh, he'll hit 200, but he'll hit 40 or 50 home runs. I mean, if the guy's got 70 home run power, you're thinking 50 home runs, 40 home runs a season, but that may not be the case because this guy's not hitting the ball that often. So something to look at there, but I actually want to start simulating. So something that I want to do before I do any type of simulation is I like to uncheck these boxes that exit autoplay. So I don't want it to exit autoplay for any reason. I want to also change these things right here to all the minor league signings, releases, promotions, demotions, lineups, and depth charts and all that stuff. I want that to be taken care of by the managers. The minor league personnel I'll also leave up to the managers, but the team personnel I will take care of that myself. As far as setting budgets and everything else, I will do all of that as well. And then we go to the front office, which is on your team page, so you can just click the team page right there, then front office. Then you go to personnel, which will take a look at all of our players. Player development, which really gives us all of our budget settings for the rest of the year. Player development budget is best if used by tripling the baseline, which is also the max. You can only max out player development if it's by tripling what the baseline is. You can't go any higher than triple the baseline. And most people, like on the OTP forums and longtime veterans of the game, believe that it is only worth it to sink a lot of money into player development if you're tripling the baseline. So we are not going to triple it. We're actually just going to leave it at 8 million. And that's good enough for the player development right now. Draft budget has the recommended, but I'll leave it at 3.2. International free agent budget, we're going to do 3 million. And the reason that we're doing 3 million is because the signing cap is 3 million, and the free agents for international amateur free agents are a little bit different than your normal free agents. And the way that works is we'll actually go over that when we get to the international free agent signing period. I don't know if we'll get to it in this video, but 3 million is the cap, and everything that you spend over 3 million is taxed 100%. So if you spend 100,000 over the cap, you're going to be taxed 100,000, which means you'll be spending 3.2 million even if you only bid 3.1. So if I bid 5 million, I'm 2 million over the cap, which means I'm really spending 7 million instead of 5 million because I'm getting taxed 2 million because I'm 2 million over the cap. So it has its own set of rules, and I usually will stick with just 3 million, but you can get some pretty good players in here, and they're only going to be like 16, 17 years old. Most of the time, I think they're 16 years old, and they can really help out your franchise in the long run. I think some guys can come up as early as like 21, 22 years old, and it's pretty crazy. So definitely want to make sure you note that. And we have 25 players. Let's start simulating. So I like to go to the schedule and then hit this checkbox right here. Some people like to just auto play until, a specified date, the next week, the next month, whatever. I like to just go game by game and just see everything as it plays out. So we're starting the season off with okay, let's start the season now. A loss. That sucks, but we can still turn around and win the series. No, we did not. So, not off to a great start, but not everybody gets off to a great start. The important thing is to not overreact and make changes too soon. So, I did say that I wanted to move Colby Rasmus away from that third spot, and I do want to check this out. And yeah, Colby Rasmus is not doing well in the number 3 spot. So what I'm going to do is actually move this guy, Matt Duffy, to the number 3 spot, actually. So let's move Rasmus and Duffy. Actually, this actually might be a better solution. Might be to move How's Gomez doing? 194, 216. Yeah, we're gonna leave it as. Let's keep this. Usually John Singleton isn't a bad batter, but seems to be struggling to come out of the gate. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of Colby Rasmus, but he is doing better than a lot of players. So let me actually move him up, swap him with Valbuena, and that should give us a little bit of a boost. But, yeah, I'm not very high on Colby Rasmus, but whatever works. Evan Gattis can be activated, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the disabled list, and I don't know how long he's been hurt. How long was he hurt? Doesn't show. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to move we're going to demote Singleton, and we're going to put Gattis on here. Now, the reason that I was looking to see how long Gattis was injured was because sometimes when players are injured for a long time, they're going to accumulate what it's called rust, and it basically is just a negative modifier to their rating, so they're not going to be performing very well, and they need to get a certain number of at-bats and plate appearances. I think it's just plate appearances because at-bats doesn't count if you have like a sacrifice fly or something like that, but or a walk, but so they need a certain amount of plate appearances in order to shake off that rust, and then they'll be playing back at full form. But I don't know how long he was injured for, so I'm just going to assume that he doesn't have any rust. And I think it's like on injuries of like a month or more, then you should send them to rehab assignments, which I didn't show because you can only do it once they're on the disabled list, not once you've already put them in the lineup. But if they're from the disabled list, you can do a rehab assignment, but since they're not cleared yet, I can't do it. Once the next person in 3 to 4 weeks, we'll do it with Max Stassi. I'll show you what I mean. But we're just going to keep going and keep moving along. I like to keep my games going fairly quickly because I just want it to build up history and keep things rolling. The fun part is the postseason, not the way there. So, yeah, there's really not much to do with Houston's lineup right now. They're a very good team, but yeah, you can see right now we're only 12-10, so not exactly dominant. We're probably going to have to make some changes pretty soon, and we do have Rookie of the Month with Matt Duffy. Is that his name, Matt? Yeah, Matt Duffy. So, no injuries, that's good. Gattis is playing amazing, so we're probably going to move Gattis up in the lineup. Yeah, well, let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to move Gattis up in the lineup right here, and everyone else is really struggling. But we will worry about that later. We might make some trades later towards the break. Even Altuve is struggling, which is very strange. But let's just keep going. It's only 1 month, so everyone has a bad streak. But if we can just keep going, get some wins, 18-11, that's a good start. We're on a roll now. We got the achievement, on a roll, literally. And I want to probably finish this month and cut the video because we're already at 14 minutes. Okay, so here we go. This is what I'm talking about. So what you can do is you can go to transactions, and the way that I bring up this little menu here is just right-clicking. You just right-click, and then you can do rehab assignment to the minors. And I think on injuries of 1 month or more, I would recommend it. You don't have to send them in there for the full 20 days if they're position players and 30 days for pitchers, but have them just shake off some rust in the minors. That way they don't perform poorly on your major league team where it matters. Do it in the minor league team where it doesn't matter. So we are tied for second in home runs, which is good. That's what we want. But actually, Mike Fears is not doing well, and I would assume that he wouldn't do well because he has poor movement, which would mean that he would give up a lot of home runs. He's actually only on pace to give up 23 home runs, which isn't that bad, and his walks per 9 is really good, and his strikeouts per 9 is kind of I think that's actually like I think it's below average in my opinion. But that's actually not bad. I mean, 7 strikeouts per 9 is not bad at all. That's probably average. The part that's killing him is the batting average for balls in play, which is what this stands for. It's 359, so he's getting unlucky essentially because we are the #1 defense in terms of efficiency. So I think this is definitely going to drop. I mean, no one's going to sustain a 6.05 ERA, but I think he's just getting very unlucky right now with the amount of balls that are hit in his direction, or not in his direction, hit off of him. So to look, 44% ground ball percentage, which means we need to look at the outfield. Carlos Gomez is amazing in the outfield. Colby Rasmus, let's actually just look here. Not bad. And what about right field? George Springer shouldn't be bad either. So looking here, yeah, the outfield should be playing much better. It must be just a string of bad luck for Fears. Let's go. You can actually see the games up here if you wanted to leave this screen up. But I'm going to go back to the schedule. And there's rainouts too, as you saw right there. We got swept. Well, not swept yet. We might get swept. Yep, got swept by Boston in 4, so that's awful. And still losing. So we're on a pretty cold streak here. And this has not been a very great past 2 weeks for us. Won the series against Texas, which is great because that's a division rival there. Got to play Baltimore at Baltimore, and our team, I think, is very similar to the way that Baltimore builds theirs, so we should do well against them and score a lot of runs, and as I say that, we get shut out, and then we lose 2-9. So let's actually send Lance McCullers on a rehab assignment and let him shake off some rust there. Go back to the schedule and keep playing. Getting swept by LA is horrible. And let's see, Max Stassi. Okay, let's get rid of our guy there. Let's move Stassi in there. And then do that. And do that. We're actually going to change these. I don't want them switching that much. And that. And that. Oops. This might help out a little bit. So let's finish up this month. We did win that game. So that's good. And we're at 18 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. I'm just going to go ahead and finish up that series. Probably simulate a little bit more. 31 and 26. 32 and 26 is not a bad spot to be at. Okay, so we're at the draft, and that's where I'm going to end it on this video. At the draft, we're sitting in second place behind Seattle, and of course Texas is in last, and then LA's in third. The two teams that I thought would be our biggest competition are not our competition. Correa's out for 2 to 3 weeks, so we're going to place him on a 15-day disabled list and free up a spot there. We're 8th in on-base percentage, and I want to be higher in on-base percentage because since we're second in home runs, if we can just get guys on the base paths, then we can let our big hitters like Valbuena and George Springer and even Matt Duffy hit the home runs that'll drive in some people. And even Rasmus and Carlos Gomez are hitting home runs, so that's good. So I definitely want to start looking for some upgrades. Maybe Valbuena, even though he's on pace to hit 28 home runs, I want more out of the third base spot because he's only got a 289 on base percentage, which really isn't all that great. I would like a better player than Rasmus as well, and then our catcher production could definitely be better. So we might look into these things in the next video, but for now, we are at the first-year player draft, and I'm going to cut it here. Thanks for watching.